In June of 2014, a small team of two people named Eliza and Casey developed a game in 1 month for an entry into a small RPG Maker indie game contest. This game, while not winning anything in that contest, made big waves around the internet as an extremely clever and well-written little indie game with a lot of surprises. The concept of the game was short and simple. You can only play through the game once, and the choices made here could not be undone. This made for a journey with a lot of weight and its existential problems given to you. While leaving an impact, I had not revisited the game in years, and to my surprise when I streamed it last year, I was informed of the game going through an entire graphical overhaul for the Steam version with a whole new ending and chunk of story. This sparked my interest in the game and the new content added. Would these new additions add in some wonderful new content and enhance the experience, or would they take away from an already great game? Let's find out in this new video. This is Sleep, and welcome to One Shot. One Shot opens up with you playing as a little cat fellow named Nico waking up in a strange, almost abandoned looking house. Here you are taught the basics of combining items through a short little puzzle where you pour some alcohol on a stick and use a spark from inside a broken television to ignite it. This flaming stick can then be used to ignite the fireplace, revealing a remote on the floor. This is establishing that exploring for items and this basic combining / crafting mechanic are going to be what makes up the gameplay of One Shot. After a bit of exploration, you'll find a computer inside the room you woke up in, and it will activate using the remote. Here you are shown through a series of pop-ups that you as the player are separate to the character that is Nico. Here you are informed that your mission is to help Nico leave. This fourth wall breaking goes far enough to even open up an out-of-game pop-up telling you by name that you only have one shot. This often throws people for a loop and shows that this game has a lot more to it than you might have originally thought. Also, something different here when it comes to the Steam version is immediately established. In the original version of this game, if you close the game, you would essentially kill Nico and you wouldn't be able to progress ever again. This has changed with the newer version on Steam, as the developers probably didn't want to charge people for a product they can only experience once truly. Though, closing the game still does have an impact on the world. Every time you do so, Nico is stuck in this empty dark room. Do this multiple times, Nico will seemingly get more and more sad and worried. This change I'm fine with and perfectly understand why this was done. Anyways, moving on from the computer will bring you to the basement where you find a bright light bulb. After a small illustration being displayed, you'll head back up and insert the bulb into the door, letting you leave. Here the game shows off a strange and intimidating tower structure and opens up a bit with a whole new really big area. Here, after exploring a bit, you will find a robot that explains the gist of what your journey will be for the rest of the game. He explains that essentially Nico is the Messiah, and you as the player act as a godly figure to the characters within this game. Here it is also revealed that the light bulb within Nico's hands is actually the full-blown sun of this world. You as the player are supposed to guide Nico to the top of the strange tower to restore the sun and save the world from an impending slow doom. Here you are also informed that if the sun shatters, the world will come to an end. After this talk with the robot, Nico is aware of you as the player's existence, and will on occasion talk to you directly. This opens up a lot of interesting, more meta moments within the dialogue. The rest of your journey will be you as the player helping Nico solve various puzzles as you slowly but surely make it to the tower, with exploration and character interactions with the various NPCs becoming key to this experience. Think of it like a lot of more exploration-based games such as Yume Nikki and the various fan games around it, but with a more linear and story-based execution. Something really interesting is the use of fourth wall breaks in this game. Some puzzles throughout the game will ask Nico and you as the player to explore your computer files through the documents folder for various clues and notes to help with answering certain things within the game. This often results in some of my favorite puzzles I've seen in an indie game, and it creates a really fantastic sense of wonder. Moving on to the dynamic between you and Nico, throughout this journey you'll find yourself slowly learning more about Nico through various dream sequences and or interactions with NPCs. You'll slowly become more and more attached as you grow to understand his loneliness and the strange world he's been thrown into. The way he was ran with this more optimistic look into the future while being surrounded by these NPCs who seem to be on this constant loop of dread and loss created an interesting dynamic I really liked. Something I also liked was the way Nico was more humanized. These scenes when he sleeps and dreams about his mother and home just add this incentive to get him back, and when Nico really starts feeling the pressure of this world and starts crying, you can't help but sympathize with the character. This especially comes into play when you're informed you can't save both Nico and the world and must choose between the two. This choice mixed in with the idea of only having one playthrough of this game really causes a moral dilemma within the player. This really fucks with you and plays on your attachment to the character, and it's really smart. Will you help Nico leave and allow the world to come to an end? Or will you put the sun in its place and have Nico be stuck here forever? When you make that final choice, when you and Nico reach the top of the tower, it leaves this lasting impression that sticks with you far after the credits roll. Or at least, that's how the original game went anyway. Something the Steam re-release named One Shot Solstice added was a whole new ending and bit of content to the game if you followed some very specific steps in a subsequent New Game Plus playthrough. My feelings on this new route? Let's talk about it. So essentially you restart the game, but something is immediately a little off. This time you awaken from the bed in the beginning with this new book. As you continue, you start realizing some things are off with certain dialogue, as Nico seems to almost remember the fact he's been through this before. Eventually, you and Nico find yourselves inside the mine in the first open area, and the game opens up a new, once inaccessible area once you check out the earlier mentioned book on a certain spot indicated by a clover. From here, you embark on a journey where you go through most of the same areas you did before, but with various characters being consumed by these glitchy squares that are consuming the world slowly. A fair bit into the content, and you find out that this route was the original intended route that the game was supposed to go, but something was changed within the code that was attempting to hide and prevent this route. This in the end results in you finding out that the thing preventing you from getting this route was caused by something called the Entity, who's like this AI that started to break things within the game. In an attempt to save the game from breaking code, this AI removed the route in which both Nico would be able to go home and the world would have its sun restored. It's an interesting bit of new story, and it ties some loose ends together. Personally, I'm a bit mixed on this whole route. While it is nice to get a bit of closure on certain things from the original plot, I find it kind of disappointing they needed to ditch the entire idea of the one-shot concept, and then felt the need to give the option to completely negate the weight of the final decision made at the top of the tower by adding in a whole new section of story that allows you to basically just get the best of both worlds with little or no consequences. It's not the worst thing I've seen in terms of adding story content to a video game, but it's not the best either. Even then, I found this game to be a really good and emotional experience with a lot of really good story beats, only held down a bit by a couple of nitpicks in the update they added in the Steam re-release. This is definitely an experience I would recommend you guys check out. It's an RPG Maker classic, and it's only like $10 on Steam. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Sleep, and I hope to see you next time. See ya!